Next, we are honored to hear a welcoming speech from the director of the School of Graduate Studies. I would like to invite Dr. Ahmad Rafiq to deliver his remarks. Check, 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 kayak, kak. Cek, 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 cek. Apa jam 8.30? Next, we are honored to hear a welcoming speech from the director of the School of Graduate Studies. I would like to invite Dr. Ahmad Rafiq to deliver his remarks. No. I'm pleased to invite our esteemed convener, Professor Edith Frank, to give an introduction to our conference. Prof.
Ini on ya, on. Nah, dia.
Cek, cek, 1, 2, 3. Cek. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. I hope you feel. Sorry. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. I hope you feel great and ready for today's exciting conference. I would like to extend a warm welcome to each of you at the conference on exploring everyday religious life, tension, and entangements between official religion, state regulation, and lived religion. It is truly a pleasure to have you all here today, whether in person or joining us virtually. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Naomi Ainun Hasana, a master's student in interdisciplinary Islamic studies at the School of Graduate Studies UN Sunan Kalijaga, and I have the honor of chairing this opening session. This conference is a collaborative effort between the School of Graduate Studies at UN Sunan Kalijaga and Marburg University, Germany. We are excited to bring together esteemed scholars, researchers, and students to explore the dynamic intersection of religious practice, state policies, and institutionalized religion. And then, we are honored to have several distinguished guests for today. Professor Nur Haidi Hasan, Rector of UN Sunan Kalijaga. Professor Sahiron, Convener and Director of Islamic Higher Education, Ministry of Religious Affairs, Republic of Indonesia. Dr. Ahmad Rafiq, Director of the School of Graduate Studies. Professor Edith Frank, Acting okay. Dr. Ahmad Rafiq, Acting Director of the School of Graduate Studies. Professor Edith Frank, Convener. Edith Franke. Edith Franke. Edith Franke. Professor Edith Franke, Convener from the University of Marburg. Professor Muhammad Nur Ikhwan, Convener. Professor Mahasin, one of our keynote speakers. Professor Albrecht Fuse, Professor Albrecht Fuse and Dr. Susanna Rudumaya from the University Rudumaya and Dr. Susanna Rudemeyer from the University of Marburg, the Vice Rectors and Deans of the Faculties of UN Sunan Kalijaga, Head of Research Centers and the International Office, and all of our esteemed speakers and audience. To begin in special occasion, I kindly invite everyone to stand and singing in the and join singing the Indonesian national anthem, Indonesia Raya. Aceh. Thank you. Please be seated. Indonesia Raya turun.
Halo, halo. Mungkin apa itu? Apa lagi?
Cik. Next, we are honored to hear a welcoming speech from the acting director of the School of Graduate Studies. I would like to invite Dr. Ahmad Rafiq to deliver his remarks. Maju, saya turun. Naik lagi, oke. Iya, nggak boleh duduk, Pak. Okay. Now, I'm pleased to invite our esteemed convener, Professor Edith Franke. Convener. Professor Edith Franke. Edith Franke, to give an introduction to our conference. Professor Franke, the floor is yours. Habis ini ya Pak Sairon, baru pembukaan Pak Rektor. Sudah, habis itu closingnya. Nggak pegang mic? Oh, oke. Cek. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. I hope you feel great and ready for today's exciting conference. I would like to extend a warm welcome to each of you at the conference on exploring exploring everyday religious life, tensions and entanglements between official religion, state regulation, and lived religion. It is truly a pleasure to have you all here today, whether in person or joining us virtually. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Naomi Ainun Hasana, a master's student in interdisciplinary Islamic studies at the School of Graduate Studies UN Sunan Kalijaga, and I have the honor of chairing this opening session. This conference is a collaboration effort between the School of Graduate Studies at UN Sunan Kalijaga and Marburg University, Germany. We are excited to bring together esteemed scholars, researchers, and students to explore the dynamic intersection of religious practice, state policies, and institutionalized religion. And then, we are honored to have several distinguished guests for today. Professor Nurhaidi Hasan, Rector of UN Sunan Kalijaga. Professor Sahiron, Convener and Director of Islamic Higher Education, Ministry of Religious Affairs, Republic of Indonesia. Dr. Ahmad Rafiq, Acting Director of the School of Graduate Studies. Professor Edith Franke, Convener from the University of Marburg. Professor Muhammad Nur Ihwan, Convener. Professor Mahasin, one of our keynote speakers. Professor Albert Fuss and Dr. Susanna Rudemeyer from the University of Marburg. The Vice Rectors and Deans of the Faculties of UN Sunan Kalijaga, Head of Research Centers and the International Office, and all of our esteemed speakers and audience. To begin this special occasion, I kindly invite everyone to stand and join in singing the Indonesian national anthem, Indonesia Raya. Thank you. Please be seated. Next, we are honored to hear a welcoming speech from the acting director of the School of Graduate Studies. I would like to invite Dr. Ahmad Rafiq to deliver his remarks. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Ahmad Rafiq, for your warm welcome. Now, I'm pleased to invite our esteemed convener, Professor Edith Franke, to give an introduction to the conference. Pak Edith. Jadi parafiknya? Oh, tetap. I would like also to invite Professor Sahiron Shamsuddin to share his introduction to the program. Professor Sahiron, the floor is yours. Thank you, Professor Sahiron, to setting the stage for this important conference and workshop. To officially open this conference, it is our honor to welcome Professor Dr. Nurhaidi Hasan, Rector of UIN Sunan Kalijaga, to deliver the opening speech. Thank you, Professor Nurhaidi Hasan, for inspiring words. Before we proceed, we kindly invite all distinguished guests and speakers to join us for a group photo to commemorate this conference. today's exciting conference. I would like to extend a warm welcome to each of you at the conference on exploring everyday religious life, tensions and entanglements between official religion, state religion, and lived religion. It is truly a pleasure to have all of you here today, whether in person or joining us virtually. Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Naomi Ainun Hasana, a master's student in interdisciplinary Islamic studies at the School of Graduate Studies UIN Sunan Kalijaga, and I have the honor of chairing this opening session. This conference is a collaborative effort between the School of Graduate Studies at UIN Sunan Kalijaga and University of Marburg, Germany. We are excited to bring together esteemed scholars, researchers, and students to explore the dynamic intersections of religious practice, state policies, and institutional religion. And then, we are honored to have several distinguished guests for today. Professor Nurhaidi Hasan, Rector of UIN Sunan Kalijaga, Professor Sahiron, Convener and Director of Islamic Higher Education, Ministry of Religious Affairs, Republic of Indonesia, Dr. Ahmad Rafiq, Acting Director of the School of Graduate Studies, Professor Edith Franke, Convener from the University of Marburg, Professor Muhammad Nur Ihwan, Convener, Professor Mahasin, one of our keynote speakers, Professor Albert Fuss and Dr. Susanna Rudemeyer from the University of Marburg, the Vice Rectors and Deans of the Faculties of UIN Sunan Kalijaga, Heads of Research Centers and the International Office, and all of our esteemed speakers and audience. To begin this special occasion, I kindly invite everyone to stand and join in singing the Indonesian national anthem, Indonesia Raya. Thank you. Please be seated. Next, we are honored to hear a welcoming speech from the acting director of the School of Graduate Studies. I would like to invite Dr. Ahmad Rafiq to deliver his remarks.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa mawalah wa ba'd. The Honorable Rector of UIN Sunan Kalijaga, Professor Nurhaidi Hasan, and co-conveners and also directors of Islamic Higher Education, Ministry of Religious Affairs, Republic of Indonesia. That's a very long title. Professor Sahiran, with a short name, with a long title, is it? And we are honored also to have our guests from Marburg University, Professor Edith Franke, the conveners of the program, Professor Albrecht, and Professor Susana, let me call it Susana, it's okay. In Indonesia, everybody is professors. Susana Rodimeyer, and we have Isabels and Asad, they call it Azad over there. And the Honorable Professor Mahasin, that's our gurus, in the, our guru, that's Isabel says, has his studies about India. Professor Mahasin for us is guru, you know, the level of guru. As the one of the keynote speakers with Professor Edith Franke, and who else? All the vice rectors. We have 5 rectors in academic affairs and finance, Prof. Istiningsih and Dr. Muhammad Sadiq, all the deans, and thank you. We have Professor Nurdin from Faculty of Letters, and what else? Oh, okay, and members of academic board of Pasca Sarjana, Professor Abdul Mustaqim and Professor Wildans, and sorry, I couldn't say everybody's, all the organizers, and also Professor Ihwan, the co-conveners, who just arrived from, who? Oh yeah, who just arrived from Japan. So I don't know, he speak Indonesia or Japan today. Right? So just let's say it. Sorry if I couldn't say it, everybody and all the organizers, Pak Munir, Pak Najib, Bu Nina, and every, welcome to School of Graduate Studies UIN Sunan Kalijaga. And we had a joke yesterday about my position. I'm acting director. Actually in Indonesia, the word acting is negative. I act as if I am a director. So, because Professor Sahiran, our former director, is moved to Jakarta, but he's still a convener. And thank you, in his very busy time in Jakarta, he spared time to come to our program today. And yes, let me say that our collaboration with Marburg University is actually started for a long time ago. Thank you, we have Bu Alef here. I remember well in 2004, actually we already have a connection with Bu Edith and Professor Michael Pai before. Michael Pai, right? Yeah, Michael Pai before, and then after the summer school program 3 years ago, initiated by Professor Nurhaidi and some college from European, from NISIS, it's kind of we refresh the relations again. That's actually the beginning of our program today. Before today, thank you to, we already sent our students to Marburg University for sandwich programs, and last year Susana also come to visit us and gave a lecture among us, and after almost 2 years the preparations, we have our program today. And thank you for everybody, thank you the rectors and everybody, and Bu Edith, Pa Albrecht from Marburg University, who make this program possible today. And of course, yesterday we have an informal talk that we will pursue with the real actions after this. This is not the last collaboration that we have. we will think and do more collaboration which involve more faculty staff and students in that collaboration to get more academic benefit from our relations. With a joke, regardless of the budget cut. And yeah, we try to forget about that. And with such situation, we still have our program today. And thanks you also for almost 30 speakers who will join our 3 days program. We call it a 3 days program. Let me say it in short. That's today we will have we will have keynote speakers and panel parallel sessions. Tomorrow morning until noon, we have a workshop for limited number of young scholars. It will be led from the professor from both German and Yogyakarta. And then the rest of the day, tomorrow and Friday, we will have a site visit as the discussion that we talk about everyday religion, lived religion. So we will see how the everyday religion and lived religion in the practice in some of religious communities in two in Yogyakarta, one in Klaten, one in Yogyakarta in Inimiguri, and the other ones will go to Buddhist monastery in Mungkit. Hope everybody can enjoy the program. And again, thank you to Prof. Nur Haidi to make sure that the program can happen today with the very tense issues of the budget cut. And I also invite Bu Edith to introduce the conference. Might accompany. I also invite Professor Sahiran as a co-convener to give a small talks also. And the last but not least, I invite Professor Nur Haidi later to give opening remarks and open all the program, the 3-day program. Thank you again for everybody, and enjoy your stay in Yogyakarta. Thanks God, then the last 3 days we have no rain, where even though it is in the rainy seasons. It seems to be that the universe help us for the program. Okay, thank you so much. Allahul muwaffiq ila aqwamit thariq. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Selamat pagi semuanya. Saya sangat senang menyambut Anda semua dalam konferensi ini hari ini. Sayangnya saya tidak bisa berbahasa Indonesia dengan baik, jadi saya akan berbicara dalam bahasa Inggris. Welcome. Welcome this morning all together. I also would like to give a particular warm welcome to the rector of this university, Professor Nur Haidi Hassan, and Professor Sahiron Syamsuddin, as we now know, the director of Islamic Higher Education in the Ministry of Religious Affairs and convener of the conference. And I would like to extend a very warm welcome to Dr. Ahmad Rafiq, the acting director of the School of Graduate Studies, with whom we worked very close together in the last year, and with others from Yogyakarta to organize this conference. A lot of thanks to you. And I would also to extend a warm welcome to Professor Mohnur Ikhwan, co-convener of this conference, and to Professor Mahasin, keynote speaker and professor for the history of Islam at this university, and also to the team, Dr. Munir Ikhwan, Dr. Najib Kailani, Professor Ahmad Mutakin, also helping organizing this conference taking place. I would also like to express a warm welcome to all the vice rectors and deans of this university. And last but not least, all the researchers and students from Yogyakarta and other places in Indonesia, as well as the participants in this conference who have traveled from various countries. I'm very pleased that this long-planned project of a joint conference between our university, Philipps University of Marburg, and the UEN in Yogyakarta takes place now. It is the result and expression of a long and fruitful collaboration between our universities. In a round way, it's about many years of cooperation, and at the same time, I see it as a starting point for many more activities, like Pak Rafik said, for more activities, scientific exchange, which may not only include conferences and publications, but also strengthen the exchange between lecturers, researchers, and students. I would like, therefore, to start by taking a brief look at some important milestones in this cooperation. The collaboration between our universities basically began, I think, in 2003. After my first visit to this university, at that time with my colleague Professor Michael Pai, a joint conference was held at the UIN in Yogyakarta and at the same time at the UIN, or maybe then EIN at Semarang a year later in 2004. Some of the colleagues who were there then are here today. So I would like to give a very special warm welcome to Dr. Alefteria Wasim. I'm very happy that you can make it to be here today. She played a very important role, and the most important role, in establishing and maintaining all these contexts up to now. And also to Professor Amin Abdullah, who also played a leading role in the cooperation from the outset back then. Together with Alefteria Wasim and Sahiron Syamsuddin, he was one of the first undertake lecture tours to Germany and came to university in Marburg at 2004 and 2005. This laid the foundation of the further cooperation. From the very beginning, also, Dr. Fatima Hussein was involved in this cooperation, and a few years later, also Professor Al-Makin, Dr. Muhammad Waldan, who is also here, thanks a lot, and Professor Amin from Jakarta came in later. Nice that you could make it to join this conference today. In a special way, PhD students from Yogyakarta have ensured that this cooperation could remain lively and continuous. Most recently, in 22 in December, Ibu Anissa and Ibu Reski, PhD students here at the UEN, were in Marburg for a research stay together with colleagues. For me, one particular highlight was in 2013, when I came to Jogja with 12 students from Marburg. Together with your university and the CRCS, we held a workshop on popular religion. This laid another foundation stone for opening up the exchange of teachers and students between Marburg and Yogyakarta. Finally, the last visit of Professor Munir Ikhwan, Professor Sahiron Syamsuddin, Dr. Ahmad Rafik, who came to Marburg in December 22 and in 24, or this year, and in 24, was of particular importance for intensifying our cooperation. Together with Professor Albrecht Fuß, Dr. Susanne Rodemeyer, we initiated a signing of a memorandum of understanding between our universities. This step is a formal confirmation of our cooperation and allows us to make all our activities more visible to the outside world and pave the way for further cooperation. Over the last 20 years, there have also been a whole series of mutual visits, lecture tours, conference participations, and research stays. All of these have served as a bridge, builders between our universities and our countries in many different ways. And I would like to express my heartfelt thanks to everyone who took part and take part. Thanks a lot. Please forgive me if I have forgotten someone. Perhaps it's an expression of how diverse and our cooperation has become. However, there is one person who has been a central figure throughout all these years, or perhaps I should say the driving force behind them, Professor Sahiron Syamsuddin. I got to know him as early as in 2003, when he and Amin Abdullah came to Germany for the first time. I met them. At that time, Sahiron not only made sure that the heavy suitcase with books reached the right place, He also made sure that Amin Abdullah found the right train to the small university town in Marburg, because he first went to Heidelberg, if I remember correct. Since then, there has not been any trip to Java where I haven't seen and met with you, Sahiron, and with Aleph. And at least many trips from Sahiron to Germany also. Last time in winter 24, yes? Yeah. I think that it is largely thanks to you that this exchange between our universities has been and will continue to be so lively and fruitful. Yeah, let me now say a few words on the topic of this today's conference. The fact that this conference deals with exploring everyday religious life, tensions and entanglements between official religion, state regulation and lived religion is an expression of the relationship between religion and society, and how to cope with religious plurality is of concern to many of us, and it is also at the center of social and public debates. Indonesia and Germany can offer an exciting comparison. Indonesia looks back at a long historical experience with religious plurality, and Islam, in its many facets, is a majority religion. Christianity forms a minority that is also privileged due to the colonial history. The Indonesian constitution is semi-secular. The Pancasila guarantees freedom of religion, but with its reference to the Ketuhanan Yang Maha Esa principle, it basically makes the orientation towards a monotheistic religion as a condition of citizenship. Germany, on the other hand, is characterized by a long historical dominance of Christianity, in equal parts Christian Protestantism and, on the other hand, Catholicism. As a result of migration processes since the 1960s, Islam is now the largest minority with around about 5%. Yeah, I think about it. However, it is also the increasing secularization that is strongly shaping contemporary Germany. Since 2024, the proportion of Christian population has been smaller than the proportion of those who do not belong to any religious community at the first time. The German constitution is secular, but in many respects, it's also influenced by Christianity. So, as we can see, even a comparison between these two countries allows very different and exciting insights into how religious and worldview plurality may function. And we will get to know a number of other case studies during the course of this conference on this topic. When planning this conference, it was important to us to focus on the extent to which the social and governmental framework conditions affect how religious minorities and majorities are constituted, and what influence they have on the relationship between religion and how religions themselves change and are lived. In addition to the looking at official religion and thus the authoritative religious forms, we also focus on religion as people live it in their everyday lives. We want to explore tensions and entanglements and gain a better understanding of how religious diversity can be understood and can be lived. Following the keynote lectures today, this morning, the program of our conference includes 6 panels that show the many ways in which the topic is relevant. And due to the large number, as Pak Rafiq already said, some panels will unfortunately take place in parallel. However, we are very much hope that the discussion will continue beyond that during the coffee breaks and also beyond the conference. A special format is the academic roundtable, which will be chaired by Professor Albrecht Fuß and Professor Mohnur Irwan. It is intended to give PhD students a particular opportunity to engage in more intensive exchange. And we hope that is a step into the next exchange of PhD students of our both university. To ensure that the diversity of lived religion is not neglected, The conference on February the 13th and 14th also includes 3 excursions to important religious sites of Java. The program includes a visit to Baya Graveyard, the Buddhist monastery Mendut, and the royal graveyard Imogiri. So we are looking forward to the stimulating presentations, a lively exchange, exciting impressions, and above all, lots of intellectual pleasure, enjoyment together, and nice talks together with each other. Thank you. Terima kasih.
Thank you, Professor Franke, for your insightful introduction to the program. I would like also to invite Professor Shahiran Shamsuddin to share his introduction to the program. Professor Shahiran, the floor is yours.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Guten Morgen. Good morning, everybody. Honorable Rector, honorable keynote speaker, and also all our friends from Germany, Professor Edith Franke, Professor Albrecht Fuß, Susanna and Isabella, and your names, I don't remember your name. Asad. Okay. Vice rectors and PLT director or acting director, and all students that who can attend this conference. First of all, I would like to also ich möchte herzlich willkommen sagen zu ja, unseren Freunden from aus Deutschland. Yeah, because this is very nice, you know, a very nice conference, yeah, and yeah. So first of all, I would like to thank Professor Edith Franke for the, you know, very strong, yeah, collaboration between UIN Yogyakarta and University of Marburg. A long time, yeah. The collaboration, the long collaboration between two universities has been, you know, informed by Professor Edith Franke a lot, and that she, you know, remember all of the, you know, activities from the beginning until now. Yeah, that's very. Actually, you know, I do not remember anymore. I mean, the activity in 2003, but you have already written down, yeah, from and explained to us. Thank you very much, Professor Edith Franke. Yeah, this collaboration is very, very, you know, very important for, you know, the improvement of our university, of course, and probably also for University of Marburg. Yeah, and. When we talk about the collaboration between, you know, our university and other universities in abroad, especially with the University of Marburg, actually this this kind of, you know, collaboration included into the, you know, into the our program in the Ministry of Religious Affairs. So from 2025 to 2029, we would like to, you know, to bring our university, our State Islamic universities, and also of course private Islamic universities to, you know, bring to the international Euro area in a different, you know, different aspects. And yeah, we call it internationalization of the Islamic universities in Indonesia. So therefore, we our university, this the Sunan Kalijaga State Islamic University, and also other universities in Indonesia, you know, have several programs, several programs in order that these universities, our university, can be recognized internationally. So, and the Ministry of Religious Affairs, in this case, is the Directorate of Islamic Higher Education, Islamic Higher Education to, you know, to support this kind of internationalization. And therefore, we in the ministry, we have, for example, also we have, you know, the program of you know, double degree program, visiting professor, joint research, and publication, student exchange. Even they, you know, our universities try to, you know, to bring students from different countries to study here in Yogyakarta, in Jakarta, in Bandung, and so on and so forth, regardless of budget cut. I mean, so we have this program is still there, even though the budget, our budget is cut. I mean, you know, I think around 40%, cut by the government. But we are sure that the President Prabowo is very nice person, very, you know, very generous, generous person. As our leader is very good actually, and we hope that Pak Presiden will give, you know, will give the budget back to universities. Amin ya rabbal alamin, ya mudah-mudahan ya. Ini kita berdoa saja, karena Pak Presiden itu adalah orang yang sangat baik. Mudah-mudahan ini didengar oleh beliau, ya. Beliau itu memperhatikan masyarakat. He pays attention, a lot of attention to, you know, what we need, the needs by, you know, society's need, and so on and so forth. And of course, actually he does not want to make his people, his society, you know, very sad. No, I'm sure. Jadi Pak Presiden itu baik sekali, insya Allah baik sekali, dan itu akan budget akan dikembalikan kembali untuk kebutuhan pendidikan. Amin ya rabbal alamin, ya. Mudah-mudahan didengar aja, ya, didengar. Saya pikir nanti kami laporan ke Pak Menteri, ya. I will give a report to the Ministry of Religious Affairs that we need some money, to improve our, our universities, to internationalize our universities, ya. Saya itu terbiasa sudah tidak takut sama siapapun, nah gitu. Jadi ngomong itu bebas-bebas saja. Tetapi bahwa kita harus hormat kepada siapapun, ya, hormat kepada Pak Presiden, kepada Pak Menteri dan sebagainya. Tetapi saya tipenya orang yang tidak takut siapa-siapa. Jadi saya menyampaikan apa yang memang itu seharusnya kami sampaikan. Tetapi kami tetap hormat. Ya, Pak Rektor hormat pada Pak Presiden, Pak Menteri, Pak Presiden dan seterusnya. Ketika budget itu sementara ditarik itu Pak Rektor kemudian mentaatinya. Terima kasih Pak Rektor, ya, terima kasih. Lalu kemudian Pak Menteri juga orangnya sangat baik, ya. He's very good person and very religious person, and you know, he has big empathy and sympathy to society, ya. Jadi Pak Menteri juga begitu, sangat perhatian kepada masyarakatnya dan seterusnya. Jadi insya Allah pemotongan budget itu akan dikembalikan lagi kepada minimal kepada universitas, ya. Kita berdoa saja, ya. Kok ini bahasanya campur-campur, ya. Maksud saya supaya supaya fleksibel saja gitu, ya. So jadi ya tidak usah sedih, tenang saja. Insya Allah nanti itu juga akan terselesaikan. The most important thing is that our programs, internationalization programs, must be atau should be done in this year and also in the following years, 2026, 2027, 8, and so on and so forth. So jadi don't worry, don't be sad, ya in this case. Baik, jadi oke, good. Mungkin itu saja ya. Dan thank you very much once again to the rector and Professor Edith Franke and our colleagues from Germany for this very important conference. So when look at the term everyday religious life, then of course it's very important because when somebody, for example, somebody reads the Quran or the Bible or Hadith, and then he or she tries to understand what is meant by the Quranic text or the biblical text and Hadith, and then after that, and because of the understanding is influenced by his or her knowledge, his or her experience, tradition, and so on and so forth. Then, of course, the understanding of religion, the understanding of religious texts must be should be different from one to another, and then after on the basis of his or her understanding, then he or she applies his or her into the action, and then therefore then the practice of religious teachings should be different from one to another. But even though this the plurality of understanding of religious texts and also action, we should be tolerant to each other. Yes, we have to recognize the diversity, the plurality of understanding, and also of course we have to respect to each other. We have to respect Christian society, Buddhist society, Hindu society, and so on and so forth. And this kind of tolerance, is right now emphasized by the Ministry of Religious Affairs. So in different moments, in different meetings, he expressed the importance of harmony, the harmonious life and tolerance between different plural societies in Indonesia. And this conference is also of course supported by or in line with the idea of Minister of Religious Affairs. So I hope this I hope the Ministry of Religious Affairs will be informed well in relation to this kind of seminar that is related to tolerance, harmony, and so on and so forth. Sehingga setelah itu kemudian nanti Pak Menteri ya mudah-mudahan kemudian memberikan perhatian khusus kepada UIN Sunan Kalijaga dan juga kepada perguruan tinggi lain yang itu kemudian menekankan kembali, memperhatikan kembali pentingnya kehidupan toleran, yang rukun dan harmoni antara satu dengan yang lainnya. Prof. Alef tadi belum saya sebut. Terima kasih Prof. Alef yang meskipun beliau sudah lama ya purna tugas, tetapi masih juga aktif untuk menghadiri dan juga berpartisipasi di konferensi ini. Prof. Mahasin itu guru saya yang akan nanti menyampaikan keynote speech ya. Dan terima kasih Prof. Mahasin dan juga profesor-profesor yang lain yang saya tidak sebutkan satu persatu ya. Pak Mustaqim dia ada di sini, dekan-dekan ada di sini, wakil-wakil rektor juga ada di sini. Terima kasih semuanya. Dan kita lanjutkan. Pokoknya jangan sedih Pak WR2 karena ada budget di penghematan, nggak usah sedih. Santai saja. Saya kok firasatnya enggak separah yang jenengan rasakan gitu, nggak usah, pokoknya nggak usah terlalu sedih, santai saja. Nanti kita akan berupaya untuk itu, gitu. Ya, teman-teman semua yang yang belum saya sebutkan, ya, Prof. Aziz, tadi ada Pak Dekan Fadib juga ya. Ya terima kasih semuanya, dan nanti Pak Rektor, monggo nanti kemudian dibuka oleh Pak Rektor, betul ya? Nanti buka, jadi setelah menyambut Pak Rektor nanti akan membuka ini. Ich bedanke mich bei Ihnen, Professor Edith Franke, Professor Albrecht Fuß, für diese sehr gute Conference in Bezug auf the the religious life, ya, the religious life. Kadang bahasa itu susah ininya ya. Jadi kalau bahasa Jerman harus Jerman, terus kalau Inggris kalau ganti-ganti itu kadang susah banget, ya. Karena it's very difficult to change my mind, ya. In relation to the, apalagi kalau sudah ada bahasa Arab, kaifa haluk, ya akhi, dan macam-macam itu sudah kemudian lagi berubah lagi anunya apa, jadi perubahan, kecuali Pak Albrecht itu sangat mudah berubah antara Jerman lalu Arab lalu kadang bahasa Arab kadang gitu. It's very easy for him ya to change his mind in relation to the linguistic aspect, right? Ya sekali lagi terima kasih sekali, thank you very much. Ini terlalu lama saya nyambut ya, mumpung jadi direktur apa. Kadang sebab kalau ada Pak Rektor lalu kemudian nyambutnya kelamaan nanti itu berbahaya ya gitu. Jadi kalau Pak Rofiq kan sedengan saja, saya terlalu lama nih. Terima kasih, ada guyon-guyonan juga ya supaya tidak stres karena ada budget cut tadi itu yang ya, baik. Wallahul muwaffiq ila aqwamit thoriq. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh ya.
Thank you, Prof. Sahiron, for setting the stage for this important conference and workshop. To officially open this conference, it is our honor to welcome Professor Nurhaidi Hasan, Rector of UIN Sunan Kalijaga, to deliver the opening speech.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning and warm greetings to you all. The Honorable Pak Director of Islamic Higher Education, who is also serving as the co-convener of this conference. I think he is coming to Jogja today to represent two positions. You see in his speech. First part of the speech was representing the voice and concern of the central government, especially about the budget cut. And then in the second part of his speech was about the conference, or about the topic. So I mean, yeah, he has no option but to do that. The Honorable Professor Edith Franke, the convener of this conference, Professor Albrecht Fuß, Professor Susanna Rodemeyer, Isabella Jacob, Asad Ostuk, the Honorable, our keynote speaker, Professor Mahasin, our guru as well, Professor Alif Triawasim, the Honorable Vice Rectors of UIN Sunan Kalijaga, Deans of the faculties, Acting Director of the Graduate School, Professor Umar Riyad and Claudia Dirish, who will be presenting his talk via Zoom, the participants and all friends coming to this conference. It is an honor for me to welcome you to this important conference on exploring everyday religious life. On behalf of UIN Sunan Kalijaga, I extend my deepest appreciation to all the scholars, researchers, and students who have gathered here today to engage in meaningful discussions about the role of religion in our daily life. We have been talking too much about religion in a political sense since especially 9/11. Political Islam, overwhelmed our life somehow. And it was driven by our alarmist concerns about somehow the threat of Islam to our lives. I think it is today for us, especially in UIN Sunan Kalijaga, to move away from those kind of political things and start discussing about something small but very important, religion in everyday life. Hopefully our research also represent these changing trends in the research about Islam and Muslim society in the world. From something quite political, everything about politics, Islam and politics, something like that, to be something more beneficial to understand daily life of Islam. We understand well that religion has long been a central force in shaping societies, guiding moral values, and providing individuals with a sense of purpose. However, its presence is not confined to places of worship or moments of prayer alone. It is deeply embedded in everyday experiences. How we interact with others, the ethical decisions we make, and the way we find meaning in our routines. This conference serves as a platform to explore these aspects and to understand how faith influences personal and communal life in diverse cultural and social contexts. I would say that our conference today is a kind of exemplary program at UIN Sunan Kalijaga. Good collaboration between Marbuk University and the Graduate School of UIN Sunan Kalijaga. I would encourage all schools, faculties in this university, departments, to organize this kind of conference. Because if we independently organize this conference, it is, of course, very costly, It is not in line with the budget cut policy. This is very, very cheap conference, but very important, beneficial. Our guests, big scholars, great scholars come to deliver their talks and enlighten us with their current research on these topics. I just understand from Professor Edith Franke and also Professor Sahiran that the collaboration between Marbuk University especially and UIN Sunan Kalijaga can be traced back to the early 20s, yes, the early 2000s. 2003, there was a conference involving Bu Edith Franke and the collaborator, the convener at the time with Professor Ali Triawasi. And then after that, we organized for a conference, seminars and everything, inviting Professor Edith Franke. To me, what I understand, especially Professor Edith Franke is a kind of legend, especially for students of Quranic studies. Everyone studying at the Department of Quranic Studies knows you, Professor Edith Franke. And they talk about your works and also your talks. That's why I think your joining us, your involvement in organizing this conference is, somehow remind them of your works and also of your commitment to develop a strong collaboration between Marburg University and UIN Sunan Kalijaga, Yogyakarta, as well as the other student as well are quite familiar with the works by Professor Albrecht, Professor Susanna, and other scholars from Marburg and other universities in Germany. Our discussion today will touch upon many critical themes, from the role of religion in promoting social harmony to its impact on education, politics, and personal well-being. In a world where differences in belief can sometimes lead to division, it is essential to focus on how religion can also be a source of unity, resilience, and compassion in everyday life. As we exchange ideas, let us remember that understanding everyday religious practices requires both an open mind and an open heart. By learning from different perspectives, we can build a deeper appreciation of the ways faith contributes to human experiences, regardless of tradition or backgrounds. Again, I would like to express my appreciation to this conference, and this is part of our priority program to make this UIN Sunan Kalijaga, this university, more visible at the global stage. Hopefully, in the very short time, in the near future, our campus will be visible in the QS World University Ranking. Thanks to your support, as well as we will organize, develop kind of double degree programs with Marburg, probably with University of Edinburgh, SOAS University, Catholic University in Leuven, and other universities in Europe. I do believe that we can do that, and it will be strengthening our position as leading universities, especially working on Islamic studies. I encourage all of you to engage in fruitful dialogues, ask challenging questions, and share your insights in this conference. It is through this conversation that we can foster greater mutual understanding and contribute to a more inclusive and peaceful societies. Once again, I thank you for your presence and participation. This conference inspire new ideas and collaborations that will enrich our understanding of everyday religious life. Let me officially open this conference entitled Exploring Everyday Religious Life by together reciting Basmalah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Thank you so much for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Professor Nur Haidi Hassan, for your inspiring words. Before we proceed, we kindly invite all distinguished guests and speakers to join us for a group photo to commemorate this conference.
Jarang-jarang. Monggo. Siap.
Before we begin the public lecture, we would like to invite you all to enjoy the Sesonderan dance performance. While having a 15 minutes coffee break, please feel free to relax and enjoy the refreshment as you watch the performance.
Hello. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, everyone. We will have first session for this conference, and we will have two keynote speakers. The first speaker is Professor Mahasin, and then the second one is Professor Edith Franke. I kindly invite all of you to come to the stage. Okay, we have already two keynote speakers here. Let me introduce the first one is Professor Mahasin. He is a professor in Islamic history at the School of Religious Studies UIN Sunan Kalijaga, Yogyakarta. His expertise revolved around religious authority and Islamic manuscript in Southeast Asia. And the second one is Professor Edith Franke. He is professor for general and comparative religious studies at the Marburg University and recently director and head of religious studies collection. Okay, her research interests include religion and religious plurality in the Islamic culture of Indonesia, theory and methodology of religious studies. So these two speakers will provide a setting for us for this conference. And the first speaker will be Professor Mahasin, who will talk about managing religions and religious life and Indonesian experience. Each speaker
the people may not be forced to pay anything other than zakat, other than zakah. So it is not easy. Although at the end the Nahdlatul Ulama agreed that it is the right of the government to take tax from the citizen, on the basis that we have agreed that Indonesia is the final the final agreement on the basis of the religion. It is no longer Islamic State or nationalistic state. Oh, this is Negara Kesatuan Republik Indonesia. The unity of Indonesia is the basis of the state. Yeah. Well, and then state guarantee. Yeah, go. For the freedom of religion. Article 29 state that of the Constitution says that the state is based on the belief of one supreme God, Ketuhanan Yang Maha Esa. And the second, the state guarantees its citizen the freedom to embrace their own religion and to worship according to their religion and belief. Yes, it is true, but a constitution could not work in the, in administrative level. We need a law concerning this, and the law, the only law we have is the PNPS of the law number 1, 1965, saying that you may not, among others, that you may not talk about ideas in public on religion that is different from the the teaching of that religion. So, with the case of Ahmadiyya, we have this problem. So, last year, or even this year, last year, the acting regent, the acting regent of Kuningan, for example, banned the gathering of Ahmadiyya. Salana, where is Nina? It is Salana. That's Salana. That is held once every year for the gathering of Ahmadiyya, but it is banned in Manislor, Kuningan, on the basis of this law, because they talk about Islam, which is different with the teaching of Islam. They said that there is another prophet after Muhammad. So yeah, so we have problem like this, and sometimes we know that there are any black hole in the laws of Indonesia concerning religion that may be played by the intolerant people to give a pressure on some religious groups, small one or the minority. Yeah. Now this is what. And when I was there in the ministry, for example, I struggled in vain. Yeah, I'm sorry to say that, to make to make legal the marriage of the people of Ahmadiyya in West Java. Yeah, I summon the responsible for the Ministry of Religious Affairs in Kabupaten Kuningan and in the West Java, and they all afraid. They were all afraid of making a legal marriage act for them. Why? Because they will be threatened by the intolerant groups in West Java. So this is the problem. So no, I don't know what more time I don't have. Huh? 10 minutes? Okay, I will be fast. Yeah, but maybe I will. Yeah, I will be fast. Yeah, this is a problem. So we have a law that guarantees the freedom of religious life in Indonesia, but we have intolerant people who sometimes play with the law, with the black hole of every law. So and there is no what is it? Apa namanya? There is no immune law that is free from fallacy, from holes, from black hole. I will say that. So many people say that. So we have, for example, when I was in Medan, talking about the freedom of observance of religion, of making rituals for religion, and then when I asked the audience, is it possible for me, if I'm not Muslim, to make a ritual gathering, or ritual in my house, inviting like 10 to 20 people. They say no. Why? Because house is not a place to do worship. No. What's it at? It is stated in the law. They say, when I show them that the law doesn't say anything about the use of a house to do worship, they come with another regulation saying that every establishment may not be used other than what is dedicated for. So house is for living and not for gathering, gathering, a religious gathering, and so on. And in West Java again, even we can find that Sunday school for Christian is also get difficulties from the intolerant groups. Yeah. Now, so we have to struggle with the freedom of religion here in Indonesia. Formally, we have freedom, but in reality, we have difficulties in many things. I think the problem is that some people do not yet have the the knowledge or the education enough that we live in a pluralistic country, and that everyone is free to do or to adhere any religion and to worship and to do worship according to the teaching of the religion. Now I will read. I know that Najib is not happy with my talk. So, religion is often exploited for political gain. Every time a general election is held, religious issues always arise to discredit certain election participants in favor of others. A crude example is the spread of opinion that so and so is surrounded by infidels, and that people who vote for this candidate or that one should not be prayed for when they die. A subtle example is that God's blessing will be showered on the nation if so and so get support. This can happen because religious sentiment in many people is still so strong that common sense and conscientious consideration is not preferred to. The ban, every person, I will repeat again, the ban of the natural meeting of Ahmadiyya congregation in Kuningan is an interesting example. The recent use is the West Governor's Regulation number 12 2020, no, 2021, 21st, on the prohibition of Ahmadiyya activities. The activities referred to here include the spread of ideas and interpretation that are not in accordance with the main teaching of Islam. The right to religion and association granted by the Constitution is reduced by the governor's regulation. The problem seems to be that there are loopholes in the existing law on blasphemy. Law number 1, PNPS, 1965, Article 1, saying every person is prohibited from deliberately speaking publicly about recommending or seeking public support, interpreting a religion adhered to in Indonesia, or carrying out religious activities that resemble the religious activities of that religion. The interpretation of activities of which deviate from the main teachings of that religion. The word in public is often taken to mean in front of many people, even if they are members themselves of pertained group. This is actually an easily solved problem, but because there are political interests involved in it becomes complicated. Then the phrase interpretation and activities that deviate from the main teachings of religion contains the same problem and is even more serious because with this new interpretation from within the religion itself, because with this new interpretations from within the religion itself are not possible. I'm thinking about how Dr. Rafiq will talk about new tafsir if it deviates from the mainstream tafsir. Yeah, I don't know. But now, Pak Sahiron is safe and sound because they don't understand what you said about Marza and Ma'ana. The regulation concerning the reconstruction of house of worship is actually intended to provide guidelines for governors and vice governors in carrying out the task of maintaining religious harmony, empowering the Religious Harmony Forum, FKUB, and construction of house of worship. But it is often understood as a regulation on the establishment of houses of worship. The house of worship referred to here is a building that has certain characteristics that are specifically places used for worship for the adherents of each religion permanently, excluding family places of worship. However, in practice, this provision is found to be used to prohibit religious activities in homes or meeting rooms. Cases of Hartono Mall, not very far from here. Pakuan. Yeah, Pakuan, when some Christians, observe they worship in the top floor of the mall, then some intolerance, I will call them vigilance people, don't agree and do difficulties to them. Yeah. And also in the shop houses or ruko in Bekasi and many other places. But in the contrast, that we can find everywhere the building of musolla in every fuel gas station everywhere in Indonesia. Without any permit or any any word from FKUB. Although the state guarantees freedom of religion and worship, social pressure sometimes raises against minority group to worship, while the majority get more freedom to observe their religion. To conclude, I will say that the management of religion and religious life faces many challenges, but the direction is quite clear. Providing space for everyone to practice religion and worship according to their religion and beliefs is not fully guaranteed, but the possibility to improve is always open. Religious communities, including people who have the mandate to organize state administration, need to learn to respect people who are different from the right and who are different with the rights and obligation attached to every citizen. The envisioned new Indonesian society is a polite society that gives all its citizens the possibility to live, develop themselves, and become themselves responsibly. The boundaries are determined by the deliberation of citizens themselves with the guidance of revelation and maturity of attitudes and judgment. Faith and piety, which should be the main characteristic of the faithful, will play a huge role in shaping such a society. The problem is whether the faithful can overcome the difficulties and problems that have plagued them and prevented them from looking into the depths of moral values taught by their own religion. External scenarios may exist, but if vulnerabilities can be healed, internal resistance will be stronger. What's more, there is the belief that God they believe in is always in will. Belief always provides support and guidance. Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Mahasin. Prof. Mahasin already provide a speech on how management of religion in Indonesia has significantly contribute to the issue of religious tolerance and etc. Also, the state, manage religion, at least recognize 6 religion recently. We still have a problem with, for example, like intolerance or the vigilance regarding to the Ahmadiyya case or building religious building for worship, for example, for Christian in Tangerang or in Bogor and also in Yogyakarta. So there are still many problems that we have to face in the future, and I think we can discuss this problem later on after Bu Edith Franke will talk about vernacular religion, a helpful concept not only for the study of everyday religious life. Bu Edith, the time is yours.
Yeah, thank you, Professor Mahasin, for your talk. I think with your considerations, we are always in the middle of the topic of this conference. And I feel very honored to give one of the keynote lectures today. I think I have always to say next slide, yeah? Next slide. Can you change? Okay, that's the second slide, but you go start with the first slide, please. So, yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah, I don't have to introduce myself, but yeah, I just want to say that I'm very happy to present the Marburg site here in the conference. And now the second slide, please. I just want to come back to the next slide. Silakan. Yeah. When I came to Java for the first time in 2003, I also gave a lecture at this university. I had just finished my PhD on constellations of religious plurality and gender, dealing with the question of what religious research, and in particular study of religion, can contribute to problem solving in a plural world. Together with my colleague Michael Pai on the picture, you see him with Amin Abdullah and Alef Tirya Wasim, I presented ideas on this subject here in Yogyakarta and also in Salatiga, Semarang and Surakarta. And we discussed it with students and colleagues. These discussions resulted in an article in English and Bahasa, you see it here below, and in a joint conference which took place in Yogyakarta and Semarang in 2004, and this focused on the subject of religious plurality, or like our Indonesian colleagues prefer, on harmony. The picture shows the book of the conference proceedings, which have been published also in Bahasa Indonesia and in English language. The questions and reflections that then emerged concerning the significance of religious research, we all do, and more generally, what science can contribute to problem solving in the world and for a peaceful coexistence of religions, like Professor Mahasin talked about, occupy us all as researchers in our social lives, as political mind people, and also as scholars. New flare-up conflicts in different regions of the world, profound changes in social coexistence due to mediatization, migration, and crisis, economical crisis, political, and also ecological crisis. These challenge science to analyze the role and importance of religion in this field. I consider the contribution of research on religion to be modest, but at the same time very important, since our research provides insights into the diversity and relevance of different, often conflicting religious ideas, as Professor Mahasin emphasized. And thus, these empirically founded information on religion can create an informed basis for mutual understanding. While many studies deal with the historical and social framework of religious plurality or with the constellations of religious majorities and minorities, this conference takes a closer look at intra-religious differentiations and thereby analyzing the tension between official religion and everyday religious lives. Intra-religious differences are often accompanied by theological disputes, struggling for influence and power over the recognition of religious authority and interpretive traditions. We have heard of the case of Ahmadiyya. Most Ahmadiyya understand themselves as Muslims, and now is the question, what is Islam? Yeah? And these also intra-religious differentiations bring up a lot of tensions and result sometimes in marginalization and exclusion, as well as the splintering of religious currents. As already said, this conference is concerned with the question of what influence state regulations have on how religions develop and position themselves in the social community. And it is therefore also about what influence they have on what is officially religion, what is understood as agama in Indonesia, or is accepted as religion in the society. And it's also concerned with how this official religion relates to everyday lived religious practice. With what justification and for what reason do we speak of official religion on the one hand and everyday religion on the other? And what does the distinction mean for the social perception of religions and also for our research? To examine the relationships between everyday religion and official religion, their dichotomization, polarization, and the evaluation these often entail, I would like today focus on the level of theoretical and methodological approaches. The next slide. I have organized my presentation as follows. First, I will present some underlying thoughts on the self-perception and task of the study of religion and examine what we actually mean when we talk about religion. The second section will focus on the relevance of lived everyday religion for a comprehensive understanding of religion. And in the third part, I will present you the concept of vernacular religion. In my conclusion, I will come back to the conference theme. The next slide, please. When we talk about religion, we all have our own specific experiences that shape our understanding of religion. These can be biographical religious experiences, possibly positive, affirmative, or also critical attitudes towards religion. But perhaps we have more diffuse or neutral feelings. All those who study religions scientifically aspire to reflect on such attitudes and to deal with the subject of our research in a subtle and unprejudiced manner. It is precisely the comparative study of religion which sees itself as a historically and empirically founded discipline that has made its trademark the distinction between inner religious perspectives and the outsider perspectives, the meta level of research to doing justice to all religious traditions. In 2004, my colleague Michael Pai and I formulated some fundamental positions that I think are still relevant today. But these positions also demonstrate that we are dealing here with an academic tradition that originated in the Anglo-Saxophone-speaking world and within the tradition of European Enlightenment that is located in a very specific scholarly tradition. Here's some example or an extract of these positions. We stated then that the study of religion is based on historical and material sources that are studied empirically, on one hand text and material sources, iconographical evidence. We would summarize it today under material religion. And we also stated that since the study of religion does not serve the interest of any one religion, it should be distinguished from example, missiology, from apologetics, or also from a theology of religion. It seeks to maintain an unbiased, value-free attitude during the research process. And even if this cannot be achieved, the attempt should always be made, that we said time. Next slide, s'il vous plaît. We also emphasized at that time that the study of religion sees itself as a discipline which is not concerned with the search for religious truths, like inner religious perspectives, and not with the evaluation of religious theory and practice, but rather with the description and the scientific investigation of religious phenomena from a meta level, that is, from the standpoint of independent reflection. This does not imply a claim to be superior to religious truths, but different. The expression meta level simply indicates a differentiated point of a distantiated view. And we were convinced that regardless of any possible personal affinity with particular religious orientation or rejection of them, it remains a task of religious research to arrive statements which are empirically verifiable. The attitude required of the researcher in the study of religion, therefore, is one of methodological agnosticism. Our idea then was that through this approach, religious research would help open up a space where members of different religious traditions, beliefs, and worldviews can meet and reflect, and where they can discuss and negotiate questions of coexistence. We are therefore dealing with an understanding of the discipline that distances itself from confessional ties and internal religious perspective, both content-wise and organizationally. This stance should ensure that the study of religion does not allow itself to be used in a theological or inter-religious dispute about the correct interpretation of text and truth claims. We see different interpretations during the history. Scholars have often explicitly demanded their terminology and theoretical concepts must be independent of particular religious or ideological assumptions or claims, also such as Eurocentric or Christocentric perspectives. But against the backdrop of various criticism in the theory of science, however, it has long since become clear that these demands have often not been met, and that theoretical assumptions and taxonomies have not been reflected upon in a sufficiently critical way. A systematic revision only took place against the background of post-colonial and also feminist criticism and through the opening up to different perspectives in knowledge production and different scientific systems. Maybe some of you knew the books of Saba Mahmoud, Tomoko Masusawa or Talal Asad who discuss these topics. The last 20 years have seen many researchers take up the challenges of postmodern thinking and criticize Western rationalism and its ideals of objectivity and scientific neutrality. A core component of all strands of thoughts and perspectives that come under the name of a postmodern criticism, including feminist theory, are the deconstruction of the claim to objectivity and a critical reflection on the subject-object split in the research process and also on the universalism of research. The next slide, please. Summing up, there are some key points in the critical revision of religious research and also a critical revision what I have presented first. We think now it's essential to reflect on the situatedness of scientific knowledge in the sense of Dano Haraway, and thus also in the perspective of the researchers during the research process. What must also be considered and reflected upon is the importance of local contexts and the conditions and variations of production of knowledge. It is different in Indonesia from Germany and from Colombia and other places in the world. And we have to pay attention to power relations as well as possible political influence and effects on our research. Post-colonial theory means that scholarship dominated by Europe and North America has also incorporated a non-Western perspective since the 2000s. It is now clear against the background of post-structuralism and post-colonialism that historiography and scientific analysis, as well as the development of our tools, the taxonomies, have long taken place almost exclusively in the Western Anglo-Saxon linguistic world, and that non-European perspectives and research have been given little or no consideration, like Chakrabarty, for example, you know the book Provincializing Europe. Thus, the academic view is now also explicitly directed towards the significance of global interdependencies and has opened up analysis of the development and formation of religions to the diversity of religious traditions and interpretations, as well on variations of the production of knowledge. Pointing in a similar direction is the concept of intersectionality, which highlights the entanglements of and reinforcing effects of identity categorizations as ethnicity, skin color, class, age, physical disability or non-disability, sexual orientation, and gender. As an interim conclusion, I would like to emphasize that objectivity and neutrality are research ideals that can only be approximated. Science is always tied to specific perspectives, interests, and values. Researchers who reflect on their methods must therefore commit to an ideal of transparency. In the research process, the critical and gender-sensitive study of religion should neither feel committed to a particular religion nor follow confessional or ideological ties. Religious realities and experiences must be recognized in their diversity and taken seriously. Objectivity should then be understood as a methodological, disciplined partiality, one that in intersubjective discourse is open to a diversity of perspectives. I come to the second part of my task, and the next slide. Paying attention to lived religion, to everyday religious life. For a long time, until the 1990s, religious research, be it in the study of religion or in theological disciplines, was concerned primarily with the historical study of scriptural traditions. And it's still worthwhile. But it paid attention very focused on this scriptural tradition, on forms of organized religion, often using philological methods and focusing on dominant tradition. Testimonies of lived religion and everyday religion, as well as indigenous religious traditions, were rarely addressed or only addressed in the context of ethnology or cultural anthropology. This meant that religious research focused on religion with a prominent written tradition, inevitably laying its empirical foundation on the reception of authoritative text and religious dogmatics, and largely excluding everyday religious practices. These research perspectives obviously had also a huge influence on conceptualizing religion, mostly in terms of an often Christocentric understanding of religion as a monotheistic religion of revelation. The growing demand in historical studies since the 1960s take a greater account to perspectives of less dominant groups and focus the attention of historical research more on the experience of contemporary witnesses and thus on methodological approach of oral history. This development can also be seen in the study of religion, which was criticized for not paying sufficient attention to the contemporary religious culture and forms of lived religion. Since the 1970s, I think the study of religion has increasingly used methods of qualitative social research and religious ethnography, a lot of us working with these methods and also with digital religion, etc. But up to then, the research of the study of religion has long been shaped by a narrow understanding of religion, one that largely ignores the relevant aspects of religion that often contrast with what is deemed to be theological normativity, such as lived religion or everyday religion. The question of how official religion, religious norms, and lived religion interrelate therefore concerns not only what is identified as the object of research and the suitable methods for studying the object, but fundamentally what is understood as religion in the first place. Academic debates on how religion can be defined are still contentious and reach different conclusions. However, there is a broad agreement that various dimensions of religion can be identified. The next slide. Dimensions, we all know, when we try to understand religion, we see a lot of dimensions. I shortened them here in 7. The ritual dimensions, symbolic acts, the mythological dimension of religion, cognitive and intellectual dimensions like doctrinal beliefs, systems, and theologies, and also the ethics, the norms and values, behavior patterns, and ways of life. The social dimensions of religion, how religions are organized, and how religious expertise is developed, but also in the experiential dimensions. For example, the experience of religious callings and revelation, mystical experiences, and also individual religious experiences, and also community building and ties to the community. I think for religious research that seeks to make a key contribution to the understanding of the complexity of contemporary religious culture, it is of crucial importance which dimensions its analysis focus upon. After a long tradition focusing on written sources, and thus often on the testimonies of dominant religious tradition and authority, it is obvious how essential it is now to place at its center people as subjects of religious experiences, as individuals and as part of a community, integrated into a network of different ways of life and a variety of religious roles, ideas, and forms of expressions. The next slide. I return to Penny Etchell's understanding of religion as a practical, everyday activity for experiencing and expressing transcendence. So the individual relation to the transcendence or God. With what the sociologist explicitly opens up the theoretical understanding of religion to the dimension of lived religion. And another scholar, Meredith McGuire, underlines that the term lived religion is useful for distinguishing the actual experience of religious persons from the prescribed religion of institutional defined beliefs and practices. It should be noted that because religion as lived is based more on religious practices than on religious ideas or beliefs, it is not necessarily logically. Most of us will have made this experience during our research process. Rather, lived religion requires a practical coherence. It needs to make sense for the people practicing their religion in their everyday life. And it needs to be effective, to work in the sense of accomplishing some desired end. For example, healing, improving one's relationship with a loved one or with God, or harvesting enough food to the last winter. This practical coherence explains the reasoning underlying much popular religion, which may otherwise appear to be irrational or superstitious or heretic or whatever. Next slide. Robert Orsi, as he is a historian in religion, was one of the first who studied lived religion in a very close sense. He presented a study of the Madonna cult of Italian Catholics in Harlem in New York during the 1980s. I think it was one of the first comprehensive investigation into lived religion in today's Catholicism. The processions of the Madonna still take place in Lower Manhattan today, and they show that it is important for people being able to feel the presence of the divine and to experience transcendence directly and in an original, concrete ritual. Orsi characterized the attitudes of the faithful as follows. Although they made a distinction between themselves and the sacred, the people never set the two worlds completely apart. I think it's especially in Europe that we take it apart. Here is the holy sphere, the sacred sphere, and there are the people, the profane sphere. And he said those people brought their Madonna with them across the ocean, and every year they took her out into the streets where they live. They would not allow religious officials in this country or in Italy to alienate them from the sacred. Religious research, and especially the study of religion, were and still are marked by a dichotomizing and judgmental attitudes that distinguished between established official religion, which is deemed to be valuable on the one hand, and lived popular everyday religion, which is deemed as inferior on the other. Even today, everyday religion is frequently referred to as a religious practice which is characterized by theological ignorance, superstition, or heresy. Differences between forms of lived religion practiced in everyday life on the one hand, and normativity of established religious doctrines and institutions on the other, run through the entire history of religion and raise the question of what implications this has for the understanding and for the study of religion. Numerous sources, as well as past and present examples, show that access to education, economic and social influence like we have, and the opportunity to participate in religious offices and gender significantly determine who achieves the interpretative power and which religious doctrines and which religious norms prevail and which are marginalized. While the area of official religion to its organized forms and religious practice within institutionalized rituals was often reserved for male elites, while the concrete forms or visible expressions of everyday religious lives are, on the other hand, often not seen. To illustrate what everyday religion can mean, I will now present two short examples. The next slide, please. On the left, you see a section of a typical Protestant North German church interior. In the spirit of Lutheran and Protestant Christianity, the sacred space is very simple, free of images of saints, angels, or the like. According to Martin Luther, this is intended to focus believers on the Word of God, handed down in the Holy Scripture of Christianity, the Bible. The photo in the center shows beads of faith or beads of life. They were created by a Swedish Protestant bishop in 1995. We are all familiar with the prayer beads of the Islamic tradition, with Catholic rosaries or Buddhist mala, but maybe not a lot of us or you have seen these beads of prayer. The Swedish bishop had the idea that also the Protestants, the Christian, need an easy-to-use tool to come into contact with the Christian message in everyday life, in an uncomplicated, practical and sensual haptic way. The individual beads each symbolize specific aspects of Christian teaching. The gold-colored bead, for example, symbolizes God, while the black bead symbolizes the night and passion of Jesus. Such bracelets are now quite common in Sweden and also in northern Germany, and are incorporated into individual and also communal religious practice in a variety of ways. The photos on the right shows a group of German Christians who practice circle dances in nature. They see this dance as an expression of their Christian piety, and they see this dance as sacred and as a form of prayer. When analyzing how contemporary Christian culture has formed and developed in Germany, we should certainly include both the often empty churches, the role of scriptural traditions, but also the high demand for meditative and embodied religious practice, as shown here in this example. The next slide, please. And also Islam has very different faces. On the left, we see believers in the Istiqlal Mosque in Jakarta performing the classical practice of prayer, or you know all from mosque in Java and Yogyakarta and everywhere. And the photo in the center shows the figure of Sunan Kalijaga, one of the Wali Songo who are said to have spread Islam in Java, together with the depiction of Ratu Kidul, the queen of the sea of the south coast of Java. You know it better than me. She is associated in religious history also with Hindu and other early concepts of local goddesses. And according to the 16th century of Javanese mythology, she is the protector and spiritual partner of Senopati, the founder of the Hindu kingdom of Mataram, and his descendants, as far as the rulers in Islamic Java and the current Sultan of Yogyakarta, Hamengkubuwono X, who, according to convention enshrined in national legislations in 2012, if I'm correct, has also been the governor of Yogyakarta region since 2012. As far as I see, ritual acts on the holy days of the Javanese calendar centered around the myth of Ratu Kidul play an important role in the everyday religions of quite a few Muslims on Java. On the right photo I have taken some years ago is a group preparing offerings for Selisa Kliwon on the beach at Parangkusumo. Most of them are probably Muslims, but they are also fulfilling rituals for Ratu Kidul at Selisa Kliwon. These are only two short examples for the link between Islam Agama and local Javanese traditions like Kebatinan and Kejawen and individual lived religious practices. Some minutes, 5 minutes. Yeah, I'm perfect with 5 minutes. Both examples illustrate the many variations as well as discrepancies between the religious normativity represented in scriptural tradition by powerful religious authority and what the faithful practice in their daily life. So the next slide, vernacular religion. A differentiated study of both the life world and of historical development and significance of religion therefore requires focusing on everyday religion. To overcome negative biases and pejorative attitudes towards these aspects of religion, Leonard Norman Primiano proposed using the term vernacular religion. Initially conceived as an alternative term to folk or popular religion, but then he used it as an autonomous term for understanding lived religion. Primianus' term was also linked to the demand for reflection on the methodological approach, which should be based on respect for the integrity and of the individual experience of faith and on a sensitive attitude in the research process. The starting point for Primianus' concept of vernacular religion is the observation that the distinction between folk and popular religion and official religion gave rise to a hierarchical distinction. This distinction placed oral sources on the one side and written sources, including institutionalized religion, on the other, thereby categorizing lived forms of religion as negatively, as remnants or residues. And this, and that is very important for me, suggests that in contrast there is a pure element of religion, that people then not have only changed in the course of history, but actually contaminated. And it's important what standpoint we have by development of religion. It's a contamination of the truth, or is it just a development because religion is lived? Primiano criticized the category of official religion as a Western academic concept that stems from and strengthens hegemony of Christianity. It categorizes certain sources and interpretative traditions as valid and official, and thereby devaluating the religious life. And then official religion becomes a standard, and everyday religion is something of less worth. Primiano rejects the concept of popular religion because it's based on a class-specific concept of religion of the masses, whereas vernacular religion tries to giving more respect to the individual life in social communities. In contrast, Primiano's own concept of vernacular religion argues that to do justice to the experiential component of religious lives can only be satisfied through use of a term that specifically addresses the personal and private forms of religion. Vernacular religion is, by definition, religion as it is lived, as human beings encounter, understand, interpret, and practice it. The next slide, please. Yeah, as for methodological changes when it comes to studying lived religion, Primiano argues further for an inductive approach that makes it possible to collect and generate data that take seriously and even prioritize the inner experience and perceptions of the believer. By this inductive approach, popular religion can become disentangled from the Christian concept and interpretation. That's his idea. To summarize, vernacular religion shapes everyday culture and disrupts the traditional boundaries between official and folk religion. Vernacular religion theory involves an interdisciplinary approach on the religious life of individuals with special attention to the process of religious belief and the verbal, behavioral, and material, and also the expressions of religious beliefs and the ultimate objects of religious belief. Yeah, and it becomes more and more that our subject is developing in this direction. So the last slide, please. I come to my conclusion. There is no religion without vernacular religion, without local religion, without the experience lived religion. To conclude, religion is never static. It is always changing because it is practiced by people and is always practiced in a particular social and historical context. Second, research into lived religion draws attention to the diversity and complexity of religious systems. Third, vernacular lived religion is the foundation of all religion. It's not a special aspect, it's a foundation. And it's not a counter to institutionalized religion. Don't make it as a counterpart. See it as an entanglement. And fourth, the concept of vernacular lived religion leads to a questioning and expansion of understanding of religion, studying what people do. I see the approach of vernacular religion as an important, fruitful way, one way, of fulfilling the aim of study of religion to understand and analyze the complexity and interplay between official religion, state regulations, and everyday religion. Thank you very much, and terima kasih untuk mendengarkan.
Thank you, Bu Edith Pranke, which has talked about theoretical and methodological consideration about study of religion, and she discussed about I think the diminution between official religion and popular religion, and then try to propose or to bridge this diminution by proposing vernacular religion and then putting everyday religion as something seriously to be considered in order to research live religion. And what I think important for us here is that how the discussion about everyday religious life is inextricably from how religion is being defined, and then Professor Ede Pranke start how post-colonial perspective and also the feminist studies challenge the the Western definition of religion, and then try to see how they integrate non-Western perspective, and then seeing how religion is being defined through the power relation, and also thinking about intersectionality. Many things, because it's talking about methodological and theoretical consideration. I think we have two speakers which already discussed empirical and then the problem of management of religion in Indonesia, and then also about the methodological and theoretical discussion. So let me invite all of you. We will have a Q&A, maybe at least 20 minutes because we start late. I invite four participants for question. Maybe from this side, Pak Rafiq, Pak Suhadi, angkat tangan. Pak Suhadi, okay. We have four questions. Please introduce yourself and then to whom you want to address your question.
Okay, thank you, Pak Najib, Pak Mahasin, Bu Edith. My question is actually goes to both of you. You might relate it. So, in short, I might say that one of the problem of managing religion in Indonesia, I remember well, I involved in one of the discussion in the ministry, is about defining religion. But the end of the discussion, we come to the conclusions that that's the problem, because we would like to define it. That's actually the first. So the definition itself is actually the beginning of the problem of handling the diversity and plurality of religion. While at the same time, if we refer to what Professor Mahasin presents, actually based on the Indonesian constitutions, we actually have never defined religion. Even we have no idea about formal religion, I suppose, in Indonesia, because our constitutions only say that the religions adhered by Indonesians are. So it's a kind of unclear position between is it a formal religions or not. So that's actually I would like to have your comments about this, because when that's then come to the issues about vernacular religion or practical religion. So do we really need the definitions of religion? That's the first. And the second thing, Bu Edith, thank you to rise up the term of vernacular religion with the broader perspective of understanding the everyday practice, because I remember around 25 years ago when I did my master in religious with Bu Alep, interreligious relations. I remember well that in 1999 when we have the discussions about vernacular religion at the time, what we come in our mind is about local religions, the tribal religion. So that, as Prof. Mahasin said, Indonesia, in some ways we differentiate between official religion and local religion, such as Kaharingan, etc. But thank you that you rise up the term not to refer to the specific group of religious followers, but vernacular religion is actually what I understand. That's about the vernacular practice of being religious. It can be everywhere. So is that, and all religions actually have the vernacular perception, have the vernacular practice, regardless of whether it is from abroad or even originally beloved, if from in some places like in Indonesia. Okay, that's my two questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Rafiq. We still collect. Okay, second one, Pak Suhadi.
Yeah, thank you, Pak Najib. I'm Suhadi, one of lecturer of this university at Graduate School, or I am orangnya Pak Najib. My question is for Ibu Edith Franco. I want to ask about the borders between lived religion and official religions. Borders. The borders. In your presentation, it's quite clear that you mentioned that lived religion is identified as a persons. But how is everyday practices of institution? Whether we can put everyday practice of institution, such as mass organization, which is very strong in Indonesia, Islamic organization like Muhammadiyah, Nahdlatul Ulama, Persis, and others, can we identify them in our research also as vernacular religions or lived religion, the practice of their religious practices? Or it is, if it is institution, then of course that would be as official religions. So I want to know about the borders, batas-batas, or the gaps between lived religion and official religion. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Pak Suhadi. You always said about border. Okay, the third one.
Good afternoon. Before I want to ask, I want to introduce myself. My name is Ayu from CRCS UGM. Actually, here I want to talk about my dilemmatic in study of religion. As we know that many university learn about the religions, make a study of religion. But basically, I want to ask, where does the research on lived religion ultimately lead? Does it end in recognition only? Because if we look at the concept, research on lived religion may only show a description of religious experience. As like Pak Rafiq said before, this case we can look in Hinduism, like Hinduism, concept of Hinduism in Indonesia is different in other country. And one of my main point is like the concept of religious polarization, religious moderation. The religious moderation give the right to the human for embrace their belief. It's like in the government policy in UU number 28, that every person is free to embrace religion and to worship according to their religion. But we know the state regulation in Indonesia, there are just 6 religions that recognizing. Meanwhile, like indigenous religion that more oldest than the 6 religion is not recognizing in Indonesia. And my Kaprodi Ancu become one of the the advocate of the indigenous. So yeah, my question is, please help me to elaborate on it. What about the where does the research on religion ultimately lead?
Okay,
Thank you.
Okay, the last one.
Thank you. I would like to express my gratitude and proud to Prof. Dr. Edith Franz for his interesting presentation on religious phenomena from a meta-level perspective. I'm Asmara, a master student in Islamic economics, and I have several questions to ask based on your presentation. And number one, how does the study of religions differentiates itself from diversity of religious truth, of the evolution of religious theory and practice, and why is a chance of methodological notice required of research in the study of religions, and how can research maintain a stand of methodological and notice while conducting research and religions, and then what are the implications of vernacular religion for our understanding of religions and religious life? And thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, yeah, we have 4 questions. For the first, I will give to Pak Mahasin. Yeah, 1 question. You can cover everything if you want.
Oh, yes, Pak Rafiq, it depends on what is your position. If you are what is it, a pejabat agama, so you can use the definition of religion as follows, that it is a system of belief. Of course, religion is a system of belief, but it's not enough. If you believe in
for them is in cosmology, in the Javanese mythology, yeah? Transcendent power is everywhere, and people set themselves in relation to this. I think this is a religious practice, and that's what Primiano wanted to say. There was another question, also on the borders, that you can't reach a wall, a border, and say this is official and this is local or vernacular. It is entangled. And when Islam was introduced, or Buddhism was introduced, it took place in a social, historical context, and people practiced already before and integrated this in their practice, took new forms at practice, and all of us who are practicing religion do it often in a little bit different way. And in Java, as in my example, there are other things important, like for a Muslim in Turkey or in Germany. And so you can't differentiate it and put a wall in between them. You have to pay attention to both. And the idea of Primiano was that what you asked at last, what can we do with the concept, is to pay attention also to what people do. And not to have the idea that there is one state or one authority who says this is religion and not. Ahmadiyya, for example. There will be people who say, that is not my Islam, and I am completely different. But the Ahmadiyya would believe themselves to be in contact to God and practice a form. And also the women fulfilling this sacred dance, they recite religious music from very different religious traditions, so they mix it. And that's a practiced religion. And we can have our opinion to this, but as scholars we have the duty to analyze it also.
Okay, actually the time is up. Yeah, maybe I will open for one question, if you still have a question, because we have Pak Suhadi already said to me 12 o'clock is stop for lunch. No. Okay, we have one question. Do you have any question? Okay, me too. I have a question to you as well. Okay, I think no, it's your idea about vernacular religion. To me, is something related to what Samuel Iskilke and Lisa de Bebek already addressed about the grand scheme and ordinary life. So, but if we refer to the discussion about everyday religion, in US, for example, from is that the Ammerman, for example, or McGray, I forget the exact name, they refer to the how to call it, non-monotheistic or something not related to Abrahamic religion. So for us in here and many I don't know, maybe in Europe, maybe in Middle East, what we call as maybe official or Abrahamic religion being practiced in terms of ordinary life is still significant. The problem is that they don't need to be coherent in terms of to get a perfection, ethical self-improvement, but sometimes being practiced in ambivalence, and yeah, I'm just thinking about this.
Yeah, I think that religions are characterized by these tensions. Yeah, we have the authoritative scriptures and authorities who say, this is my interpretation and this is the way to fulfill the prayer. And we have this tension that people who fulfill it in their daily life follow these authorities and some of them don't follow. Yeah, we have the phenomenon, I show you a picture of the empty church in Germany. The churches are empty because the people who live their religion do not longer have any feeling of a deep relationship to this. So they try to find other forms. And I think we have to be aware that religion is changing every time, and we have to struggle and dispute and negotiate. But it is not a static form. And I have a question to Professor Mahasin. When I visited Java in the early 2000s, I passed by a Chinese Buddhist temple, I think in Surakarta, and they put the Panchasila outside. And I asked them, why this? And they said the Panchasila protects us because we are deep based on the constitution, and the Panchasila shelters us because we are also one of the accepted agama. Yeah? And you, in your lecture, you said, yeah, the state on the constitution is liberal and protects different religion, but the people in their life are more problematic. And I want to ask you, over the years, I have seen that the local tradition, for example in Java, Slametan or giving offerings to the Queen of the South or whatever, the practical lived interaction is very free and very inclusive and very moderate. So my thesis was that the basis of vernacular religion or local religion is based for a positive understanding each other between borders, between the religions. And I would like you to comment this. You have another observation made.
Yeah, I find the same experience when I did my KKN, let's say the social service when I was a student. I was surprised to find that the more you are knowledgeable to your religion, the more you are, exclusive. Yeah. Now, basically, the vernacular, not vernacular, I will say that the people without any religion, religious influence or whatever, they are very tolerant to each other. Well, they are still, they have what is conflict everywhere, but in general, we can accept our neighbors, no matter the religion, no matter the beliefs, no matter the ideas, and so on. So I think that based on this tradition, that religion in Indonesia is very tolerant, any religion, tolerant. So you said that vernacular practices like selamatan. So I do the selamatan every time, or I am invited into selamatan gathering without any difficulties in theologically speaking, with my belief as Muslim. No, but maybe some people will have difficulties in doing this. But with the experience of the pluralistic, the more you meet people in Java, especially in Java, the more you are tolerant to the differences that sometimes in contrary to what is believed or what was believed before. We used to have, or we do have this saying. When I was pupil in madrasah, I think that it is only Islam or traditional Islam is true. But when we go to university, to EIEN, we find the Muhammadiyah and Ahmadiyah and are true too. And now when we write or when we are in master's degree, so we will find that okay, it is not only Islam, not only Muhammadiyah and other are true, but also other religions are true too. Now, when I write dissertation, no, it is complicated because I don't see any truthfulness in any religion. So because then I can criticize everything from religion. Yeah. So it is. I think the truthfulness of religion, or the concept of the truthfulness of religion, is related to the education, to the experiences you have in your life. So the more you get matured, the more you are tolerant. It's to my mind. Thank you.
Thank you, Pak Mahasin, and thank you, Bu Edith, for this very insightful session, especially for providing for the next panel and then for the tomorrow discussion. And then please join me to thanks to Pak Mahasin and Bu Edith, and then and we will have lunch for a break time until 1 o'clock, and then after that we will have a plenary session in our School of Graduate Studies. Please check the booklet, and then in which room you will participate and present your research. Thank you very much again for Pak Mahasin and then Bu Edith, and then again please join me to thanks to all of us. Okay. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.